Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Your Relationship With podcast. I'm your host, Melissa Snow, founder of the amazing, powerful Women Rising community. Have you joined yet? Have you gotten on the wait list? What are you doing with your life? Just kidding. Maybe this is the first time you've ever heard this podcast. This is the first time you've ever heard about it. The Powerful Women Rising community is an amazing online community that is unlike anything else out there on the web. Trust me, I have a short attention span. I don't love sitting on Zoom for hours, and I don't love boring networking meetings. So if you relate to that, but you also want to grow your business and you know that the fastest, simplest, most fun way to do that is by networking in the right spaces, definitely check out the Powerful Women Rising community. We have a speed networking call every month. We have a mastermind call every month that is full of just incredible wisdom and advice from other business owners. We have an exclusive Facebook group where there's all kinds of stuff that goes on. There's also the option to up-level to a rock star status where you get even more of me, more masterminding, more opportunities to share your business, and more opportunities to skyrocket your growth. So definitely click in the link in the show notes and check that out. Today, I am talking to Katie Brinkley, social media strategist, about your relationship with posting less on social media. Yes, this might actually be some of your first episodes because there have got to be people out there that saw the title of this episode and were like, yes, that is for me. Please, baby Jesus, let me post less on social media. Although if you're already not posting on social media, yes, I'm talking to you. There is no such thing as less than zero, just FYI. What I love about this interview is that Katie is so smart, she's so experienced, and she's so dialed in on quality over quantity when it comes to posting on social media. And she shares her exact strategies for what she posts and when she posts to get the most traction and the most ROI from her posts on social media. So I love this idea. It's the same thing that I say in networking, right? It doesn't do you any good to show up in a room of 300 people if 295 of them don't give a shit to know you or your business or provide value or be helpful to you in any way, right? You can go to all the networking events you want and say, I networked, I worked to grow my business. I don't know why nothing happened, because quality is so much more important than quantity. And it's the same with social media. So let me introduce you to Katie. She is an expert in leveraging social media for growth. She has 19 years of experience helping businesses of all sizes, from AT&T and DirecTV to solopreneurs and local businesses, build strategies to attract the right followers and generate consistent leads. Her platform agnostic approach ensures bottom line results at every stage of the sales process. Katie's background in radio journalism and social savvy allows her to bring unique insights and effectively share her clients' stories through their social media strategy. With her guidance, her clients are able to grow their audience and income in just 1 hour a week. That's right, people, 1 hour a week. So listen up to this interview with Katie Brinkley. Hello, Katie. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to sit down and talk with you today.
Yes, me too. I have to address the elephant in the room for those who subscribe to my YouTube channel and are like, your hair is red, because my hair was blonde for the last 4 years. So if you are watching this on YouTube, yes, my hair is red. And if you're listening to the podcast, you have to go watch it on YouTube so you can see my red hair. I still haven't decided how I feel about it. It's like when you do something so drastically different and still it's been a week and every time I see myself, I'm like, oh, what is that?
Well, anyway. It looks fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. So before we dive into today's interview, tell everybody just a little bit about you and about your relationship with posting on social media.
Yeah. So I am a social media strategist and a social media agency owner, but I'm not a huge fan of actually posting a ton on social media. I have a business to run. I have 2 little girls. I have a life to lead. My life should not revolve around showing up all the time on social media. So how can you do that and be effective and use social media as a tool, not as a time suck? So that is my mission, is to tell people to get off of social media and be effective with their time spent on it. And I found that, social media is a double-edged sword. A lot of people really love it, or most of them really hate it, but they know that they need to be on it for their business. So how can you actually be effective with it and use it as that tool? And I think that I've been doing the social media thing for about, close to 20 years now. And I started with MySpace, helping bands with their MySpace pages and getting them off of MySpace and onto the radio. And it's been crazy. I don't think any of us would have expected that social media would have the impact on our lives that it does today. But here it is. We're all on some social media platform of some kind, whether it's Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or Reddit even, there's a bunch of them out there, and we're typically on at least one of them. And if you're on one of them, then that means that your audience is as well. So how can you get in and be effective and grow your business?
I love that. Has your relationship with social media changed over the years?
Yes and no. I think that because I've started with it and used it as a tool from, for the past 2 decades, better part of 2 decades now, I've always tried to get in and use it as a tool. Of course, I get on, Instagram Reels, and I'll go down the time suck of watching Reels for a half an hour. But really, I've always tried to be really cognizant of the time that I'm spending on it, because it can be exactly that. It can be a time suck. And I think that with social media, if you're using it the right way, it can be a fantastic way to connect with people and build out your community. And some of my best friends, I've never met in real life. I've only talked to them through a computer screen. I've only talked with them on a Zoom call, and we've never met in person, but I consider them some of my closest friends. And that's the power that social media has when you know how to use it to build community and to really build connection.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was one of the reasons that I wanted to have you on to talk about social media specifically, because, I'm all about genuine connections and authentic relationships, and not transactional relationships and what I call being a salesy weirdo. And I think that's part of the challenge with social media, is there's so many people using it transactionally and being salesy weirdos on social media, that those who are actually wanting that connection are getting turned off of it. And I think it's important for people to know that there is a way to do social media that also feels good and can create that connection, even with people that you've never even met in real life.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that is one of the biggest things, is that if you think about it, and this is actually one of my favorite features of Facebook, is the Facebook Memories feature, because you can see memories of how we were actually engaging on these platforms in the better part of 15 years ago. And, there wasn't even a feed. It was just the wall.
Right.
And people would search you out for your name, go to your wall and post on it. And they were connecting.
Yeah.
Now with what we're doing on social media, opening it up, and like I just said, sure, I'll go on to Instagram and watch 30 minutes of Reels. That is no different than me turning on the TV and watching a TV show. I'm going on, I'm killing time, and I'm just consuming. But if you can find a way to spend that 30 minutes that you're on social media and actually connect with people, I promise you're going to have, one, a lot better interactions. You're going to be building a community, and it's not going to feel like, oh, I just wasted all that time. What did I even do? Today, like I was over here like watching YouTube or watching TikToks for the better part of 30 minutes. And now I'm watching a bunch of stuff on cats dancing and who knows. But if you go in with intention, really magic can happen.
Yeah. I also love that you say that you've been doing social media for 2 decades, because I never feel old until I start talking about MySpace.
Yeah, I know. And it's funny. because I think people think I just like had a MySpace page, which I did. But I mean, I was working at the radio station during this time. It wasn't like me, as a middle schooler, just dinking around with my friends. MySpace was my first introduction to HTML code because I wanted to change the background. I wanted to have a top 12, not a top 8. It was my first introduction to really exploring websites and the internet and social media. And again, it was a spot for me to really start using it as a tool, as a connection tool. And these bands that I connected with, it was really awesome to have, it's like, if you're into the punk scene, like Yellow Card was one of the bands, and Thrice. And these were some of the bands that I was connecting with and getting them onto radio stations. And it was really cool just to go in with intention and be like, all right, well, that was cool. And now I can go ahead and go out and go mountain biking or go out and do whatever.
Go back to my actual life.
Yeah, go back to my life.
Yeah, it was a different time back then. So you mentioned in the beginning that a lot of people have a love-hate relationship with social media. I totally get that. I am mostly on the love train. Most of my business has been built on social media, which is good and bad. And I actually really enjoy it most of the time, but I do also agree that there's a lot of negatives to it and it can be a huge time suck. So what's your thought on whether business owners actually have to be on social media? Because I know some people are on it even though they hate it because they feel like they have to be on it because they have a business. I know some female business owners who are not on social media and they're still doing great. So what's your thought on that? Do you have to have social media to grow your business?
I think that if you're not, then you're missing out on a huge opportunity. And it's not to say that you need to be on it all day, every day.
Or on every platform.
I mean, the very first thing when I bring on a new coaching client is we take a giant step back. What platforms do you enjoy spending time on? Because, and if you say none of them, okay, well then let's look at your target audience. What platform are they spending time on?
Yeah.
Because I've been in business now for 7 years, and it wasn't until 2023 that I actually incorporated Facebook into my marketing strategy. I'd only been posting on Instagram and LinkedIn because I didn't have the capacity for it. I didn't have the time to create that much content. And it wasn't until this year that I was like, all right, I feel like I have the capacity to incorporate another marketing strategy for Facebook that I've actually even took it on. I think that is one of the biggest misconceptions. Like, oh, well, I'll just post it everywhere, or, and it works. But when you're talking to everybody, then you're talking to no one. All these platforms have different ways to optimize and to post and create content on their platforms. So you have to be utilizing it. You have to be utilizing all these different ways of creating content. And when you do that, you can show up on just one, create content for your people. And this is where too, like, I think you can have a very successful social media strategy, posting as little as 4 times a week. And that's, whether it be just a small little caption, or it can be like a poll, whatever, just 4 times a week is all you have to show up. But so in March of 2023, I had a kind of a rough month, and I only posted 3 times for the entire month. I only created 3 pieces of content. I was burnt out. I was tired of creating content and doing all the things and trying to make reels and looking at I'm having to do it for clients. I was burnt out on doing it for myself, but I was spending 10 minutes a day connecting. And it was one of my best sales months ever because I was connecting with the people that I wanted to have, either power partners, people I thought would be a good fit, just commenting on their posts 10 minutes a day. That was it, only on Instagram. And the right people were coming in. They saw those few posts that I did. They connected with them, but I was building those relationships in the comments and in the DMs. So even if you don't want to create a ton of content, if you're using one social media platform and connecting with people, you have a power of building your business, beyond just, networking and having to do paid strategies.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a really good point because, the topic of our conversation today is your relationship with posting less on social media, which I think
Mhm.
a lot of people are very excited about because there is this idea like, I think part of it is FOMO, right? We think like if I'm only posting on Instagram, I'm missing all these millions of clients on LinkedIn who are going to pay me, which isn't necessarily true. But I think part of the stress of social media comes from us thinking we need to be on all the platforms. We need to be posting every day or every other day, or, there's a lot of advice about how to do it right.
Well, that's the thing is there's a way to show up online on social media as a influencer, as a content creator, and a way to show up as a business owner.
Mm.
And if you want to, I mean, I think I get like, maybe 4 or 5 follows a day, which is fine. Sometimes I get 5 unfollows a day,
Mm-hmm.
and that's fine. But I'm focusing on showing up for those, you know, 4,000, 5,000, 200 people, because
Yeah.
those are going to, if I post the right way and I connect with those people, that's all I really care about. Whereas when you show up as an influencer, you want to have more followers because you're looking to partner with brands, and the brands are saying, oh, you have X amount of followers. I could get, my message in front of that many followers. Da, 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 da. But as a business owner, you're on social media for the leads. You're on social media to build out your biggest brand advocates. And if you have 200 people following you and they see your post and they see the value you're giving and they connect with you, they might not be ready to buy from you right now, but maybe their cousin is, or maybe they just want to wait, until they get, that next step with their business, or you never know where someone is in their customer journey. But if you keep showing up for that one person, it's very different than showing up and trying to go viral, because going viral is not a business strategy. You're going to get a whole bunch of people that might maybe buy from your business, but I'd rather talk to 200 people in a room that are actually like someone interested in doing business with
Yes.
me.
Yes. That is such an important distinction. I'm so glad that you said that because, yeah, there is a difference between, and I think we get confused in our head sometimes because we get so like focused on how many followers do I have? How many likes am I getting? How many people are commenting on this? Right. And so what you're saying is, wouldn't you rather be speaking to a room of 30 people who are your ideal client, who are like, yes, I want to hear what you have to say, as opposed to a room of 10,000 people who are like, I'm just here to get the free shirt.
Yeah. Well, for real. Yeah. And I mean, like, I totally get it. The dopamine hit that you get with new followers, or, oh, I got X amount of views, or I got this many likes. It's exciting. It's like, oh, look, people are liking me. But but really, if you have somebody that sees your post, like, just for example, I do these group coaching boot camps. And typically right before boot camp, I post a lot more than 3 times a week, which is my normal posting cadence. I post 3, sometimes 4 times a week. And during lunchtime, I post every day, sometimes multiple times a day. I'm going live. But now I had people that have been connected. I saw like a DM. We talked maybe 2 years ago. It was the last time we talked in the DMs. And all of a sudden I get a DM from this person. She said, I saw your post. I commented strategy. I want to watch your free masterclass. I want to watch this recording. I want to be there. How do I watch it? And I didn't know she was still looking, still watching, but we talked 2 years ago. And now here she is again saying, I want to know more. So, I mean, you have to keep that in mind, that the people are out there watching. They might not be liking it. They might not be commenting on it, but there's a lot of silent stalkers out there keeping up with you on social media,
Yeah.
just seeing what you're doing, just watching you.
Yeah. Such a good point. So you talked about this a little bit already, just in terms of thinking about what platforms you enjoy being on, what platforms are your ideal clients on. Is that the criteria that we should be used when we're deciding which platform we should be posting on?
Yeah, I think that the first thing I recommend doing is to look at, what platforms do you like to be on? I don't like short form video. Most of the time when I'm on social media, I got two little kids running around. We're watching some sort of Disney movie, whatever. So I don't have the sound on.
Yeah.
Short form video is not enjoyable for me without the sound on. Now, if I go on to Instagram, I might see a post from 3 days ago, a carousel post with a long caption, but Instagram's feeding that into my algorithm because they know, here comes Katie Brinkley. She loves these long captions and carousels.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go ahead and show her this 3-day-old post versus a reel that Melissa did today, because we know she'll spend more time on our platform.
Mm-hmm.
So think about how you enjoy spending time on these platforms. Like, since I don't like watching short form video, I'm not on TikTok. It doesn't make sense for me. But I like doing carousels. I like having long captions. I do LinkedIn because I like writing newsletters. So I'm a long form written content person.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not to say that everyone is. So think about how you enjoy consuming and creating content. I have a client who loves short form video. She does at least one TikTok every single day. And so it's great for her because she likes to do that, but she doesn't want to do the carousel posts.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to think about how you enjoy creating content before you decide, like, I'm going to go all in on TikTok, and you don't want to actually be on video because, stock video is only going to get you so far. So think about that when you decide which platform you want to be on.
Yeah.
And I think that if you're saying, I don't really like any of them, Katie, you have to think about your ideal client. What's their age demographic? What type of content do they enjoy consuming? What type of content do you have the capacity for creating?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that question of what do you want to be doing? I was just having this conversation with a couple coaches the other day about several years ago, the first time somebody asked me, like, well, what do you want to do when it came to my business and marketing and strategy? And I'm like, why are you asking me that? Like, that's not a question. I just want to do whatever the experts say I should do that will make me money. Like,
yeah,
who cares what I want to do? Right. But I think when you get to that point of being able to acknowledge, like, there's so much negativity around social media, I think, because so many people are trying to force themselves to do stuff they don't want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can just accept the FOMO, it's fine if you're not on all the things. It's fine if there's 90,000 business coaches, quote unquote, who say, you should be on TikTok. If you're not on TikTok, you're doing it wrong. You could be making 7 figures if you're on TikTok, right? But you hate TikTok. Don't force yourself to do it, because that is going to be the opposite of effective.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's where you're going to be showing up and hating social media because, like, oh God, I got to do another short form video. Gross.
Right. And nobody wants to watch your video. Like, when you go to the party, it's not hard to see the one guy who doesn't want to be at the party.
Yeah.
And, like, who wants to go talk to that guy?
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody.
Exactly. I mean, and this is the part too, where I think that when you find that one platform and you are creating content the way that you want to create it, you have an intention. Why am I posting this? What is the goal behind this? Like, and if you don't know why, if it's just like, well, I know I need to post, that's not a good that's not a good reason.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the reason you should be posting. If you go into it and say, okay, I'm going to be posting to build out my community. I want to share my story about how this has affected me, or this lesson affected me, or this book helped me with my business, or this tool changed, how efficient and effective I am with this part of my job. Or if you're showing up and saying, like, okay, I want more awareness. Okay, well, how are you going to build more awareness around this topic? Is it by starting a conversation with your audience? I mean, you have to know what the intention is behind this post before you hit publish, because again, if you don't know the answer to it, or if it's just to check a box, here is your get out of jail free card. You do not need to post.
Yeah. Yeah. You mentioned that you post on average about 3 times a week. Is there a magic number that we should be posting?
I strongly believe that you can have a very effective social media strategy posting as little as 3 to 4 times a week. So typically, this is just mine, and this is my posting schedule based on my insights, my data, my audience, everything. So I do my 4-post strategy, which I call the awareness to action strategy. And the very first post I do on Mondays, and it is an awareness post. So on LinkedIn, it might be a LinkedIn poll. On Instagram, it'll be a reel, something to drive a lot of awareness around an overarching topic. The second post is going to be a tip or tutorial where I dive in deeper to that question or to that reel that I, brought the awareness to. So really diving deep into, okay, well, I know I mentioned that I use like tools that save me an hour a week every single day or every single week. Here it is. This is the magic tool. And this is how I use it, and create it as a carousel post, or maybe I'll write a LinkedIn article on it. The next post will be a community building post saying why I resonate with this tool that saves me an hour a week, what I've gotten back from this time now that I have an hour a week, I'm able to do more sales. These sales have equaled X amount of dollars. And it's all because of this $100 tool that I bought, once. Mm-hmm. And then the last post is the action post, actually asking people to leave social media to go one step further with you. Nobody goes on to Instagram to listen to a podcast. If they want to listen to a podcast, they're going to go to Apple or Spotify or their podcast player of choice. Mm-hmm. If you want people to leave these platforms, remember, people are coming on to kill time. Majority of people are going on to social media to consume some content, kill some time, and escape wherever they're at. Mm-hmm. So if you ask people, if you've been leading people along this journey of, hey, everybody, here's the awareness. I've identified your problem. You would like to have an hour a week back. Now, the second post, I've just told people, here's how you use it. This is how I got an hour a week back. Third post, community building. I made X amount of dollars with this tool. Now it gave me an hour of my week back. Last post, and I'm just using podcasts as an example because we're on a podcast, but last post can be, I talked with Katie Brinkley on this week's episode about this tool that's saving her an hour a week and has actually generated $40,000 worth of revenue this year. And it's a $100 tool. If you want to listen to the full episode, get it in your favorite podcast player. Mm-hmm. So you've been teasing people, making them aware of the problem, telling them how the problem can help them, how you have, overcome this problem with this tool. And then now you're saying, you guys want some more info? I got it for you in a 30-minute podcast episode where we dive all into that.
That is not on Instagram.
And it's not on Instagram.
Yeah, that's super smart.
So this way you're not showing up with all your posts just for awareness or just for sales or just to share. I mean, like I share pictures of me and my kids. Those are my community building posts. Mm-hmm. Those are the ones where I'm saying, this is how I was able to solve X and my kids benefited from it or whatever. So, I mean, you can still share those personal posts, but again, what is the strategy behind it? What is the intention behind it? And when you know that, really, all I did was talk about one thing for an entire week. Right. I just talked about it differently in 4 different posts so that people would resonate with it the way they best consume content. Mm-hmm.
I love that too, because then you don't have to come up with 4 different things to talk about every week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, that's awesome. So should we be like mixing up the types of posts that we're doing? Like you say, like a reel and a story and a post and a live video. Like, is it better if we can do all the different types as opposed to just posting 4 times?
Yes.
Okay.
Because again, like I said earlier, I don't watch a ton of reels unless like I'm on vacation by myself because I typically have little ones around. And if they hear the sound, they're like, what are you watching? What are you watching? What are you doing? What are you doing? And so for me, I see a reel and I just scroll right on past it. And I will see a carousel post from a few days ago. Mm-hmm. I consume content differently than my client, Kim. Mm-hmm. Her Instagram feed is basically TikTok. All that I see in there are reels. Mm-hmm. So you have to remember that everyone consumes content differently. People are on these social media platforms different days. I mean, someone might have been on vacation and now they're coming in and getting caught up. So, I mean, if you only post one type of content all the time, you're not going to be hitting the people that might just scroll right on past a reel or might just scroll right on past a carousel post.
Mm-hmm. That totally makes sense. So I know we get caught up in the algorithm and what does the algorithm want us to do and what, how do we play the game so that it will show our stuff to as many people as possible. So when it comes to using social media effectively, I think I know what you're going to say, but is it more important? Is the quantity that we're posting more important, or is it more important? I don't know if quality is the right word, but like being intentional about the content in our posts.
This, honestly, I'm probably going to surprise you, is not a straightforward answer because it all depends on you and your capacity. If right now I'm, like I said, in launch mode, so there is a lot of quantity going out, lots of it. But typically, like I said, back in March, I only posted 3 times because that was all the capacity that I had.
Mm-hmm.
But those 3 posts I did were very, very intentional.
Yeah.
They were kind of that evergreen content where whenever somebody comes to my page and they happen to click on my most recent post, this is what they'll see. So you have to keep that in mind as to, okay, these are the pieces of content that people are connecting with. And if you have the capacity to create more, then go for it. I still think the 4-post strategy works. If you want to post the 4-post strategy, once a day or twice a day, go for it. But I mean, it's designed to take people through the customer journey, how based on wherever they're at, identifying their problems and asking them to take action. Because I've never opened up Instagram saying, I wonder what random purchase I'll buy today.
Right.
Ever.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I think it's a little bit like networking in the sense of like, people ask me a lot, how much should I be networking? How often should I be going to networking events? And it's like, sometimes the answer varies depending on what season of business you're in, right?
Mm-hmm.
We tend to do a lot more networking in the beginning of our business and a lot more networking when we are in the more consistent income phase and less in between, because that's when we're like, I don't have time for anything because I'm actually making money and doing things now.
Yeah.
But also depending on the business that you're in, right? Like I know a lot of mortgage lenders who have very slow times of the year where they're doing a ton of networking, and then very busy times of the year where they're not doing any. And that's also very similar in the sense of like, you have to do a little bit more than just show up to the events. Like, you can't say, I went to 15 networking events and I sat with my friend every single time and I didn't get any clients. It's like,
honestly, I'm glad that you brought that up because I recently went to an event, and the first day of the event, I was just hanging out with my friends the whole time. And I was like, I really missed hanging out with these people because typically I only see them on Zoom calls, but I really missed hanging out with them. And then I was like, well, the whole purpose of me being here is to meet new people. It's like, sorry guys, I'm just going to have to say goodbye and I will see you at the end. I'll see you at the closing, happy hour or whatever tonight, and everyone got it. They got it, like it can be really easy to fall in the trap of like, okay, well, here's my friend. But you have to go out and be willing to make those, connections and see who, and this is where too, I think a lot of people are like, oh, well, it feels weird to do that on social media. But really, if you're connecting with the right people, I'm not saying to slide into a whole bunch of DMs and be like, hey, you're looking for some social media services or anything like that. But really just leaving a genuine comment, reading the caption of your ideal clients or your power partners post, that can have a massive ripple effect for building out your community and building out more sales.
Absolutely. Yeah. I love that. So be intentional about the way that you are posting, about the content that you're posting.
Yes.
And also realizing that not everyone consumes content the same way. Giving yourself grace and permission to have the platforms that maybe you don't want to use, giving yourself grace and permission for the times and the phases in your life and business that you're like, I don't have the capacity to post 94 times a day, even though I did last week.
Yeah.
And most importantly, I think realizing that there are ways that you can connect on a human level with people through social media.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Awesome. So if people want to learn more about you, if they want to follow you on social media, if they want to learn more about what you do and how you teach people social media strategies, what's the best way for them to contact you?
Yeah, I would love to connect with you. And like I said, I've given you your get out of jail free card. So I hope that you use it and really be intentional with what platforms that you decide you want to be on and how often you want to be on them. Like I said earlier, I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. You can find me at I am Katie Brinkley. And if you want to connect with me further, you can check out katiebrinkley.com.
Awesome. I will put all of those links in the show notes so people can easily connect with you. And thank you so much for coming on the podcast. This was awesome.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Your Relationship with podcast. Wasn't this a good one? I know. It's time to get off the podcast. That sounded way too much like get off the pot, but it made me laugh. Get off the podcast and go implement some of Katie's strategies in your social media. I'm implementing them already. I started implementing them after I interviewed her because it was so good. Also, make sure you click the link in the show notes and check out the Powerful Women Rising community. Don't forget to share this episode with a friend who hates posting on social media and wishes they could do it less, or with your friend who posts way too much on social media. Yeah, you know the one. Also, don't forget to leave a review because I love to hear them. Have a great week.